It's Dumb Guy Live.
Yeah.
We're here. Yeah. Yeah. Jamie, make the tweet because I don't think Monty's been doing the tweets on the website.
I'll do it.
So you might have
On
to
it.
go make the tweet. Anyway, yeah, that's right, Overlord Dan. It's time to get dumb. Let's do the thing. Well, we're gonna do the show. Maybe I'll do a tweet.
I have tweeted.
He's already done a tweet. And then we're just talking about tweeting now. This is what the show is. We had some people tune into the Dumb Guy chat last night. We had a nice long Dumb Guy chat on the Twitter Spaces, and that was pretty fun.
My sleep schedule is kind of crazy, but sometimes even that's too late for me. The Dumb Guy chats.
We watched Eddie Guerrero versus JBL from Judgment Day 2004, where it's just like a normal ass match for a little while, and then JBL there's a ref bump. JBL grabs a chair, gives Eddie an unprotected chair shot to the head, like the hardest one you've ever seen, and blood starts pouring down his face and all over and like pooling everywhere, and it becomes awesome after that. And so so that's always a good time when matches like that are happen. Eddie was, believe it or not, Eddie was kind of good as a wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Jamie. Oh, hang on. 24 hours ago, this Graps on Taps was seated for Royal Quest. Now he's seated for the Dumb Guy Live. What a life! Yeah. 24 hours ago, you were seated for KSI. Where was that exactly? It was just in London, right?
Manchester.
It was in Manchester.
Okay. Arena. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we might get a little report from that a little bit later. I can't believe you betrayed the pod by going to that instead of going to like Ishii versus Shingo and Ospreay versus Saber and all that. But you know what? You saw a dumb weird brawl, so I guess that was fun too. Yeah. All right. Well, Jamie, there have been a couple big shows over the last week. Monday was a bank holiday in Japan, so we had a couple big shows on that day. We got some minor stuff to recap, and we got a tournament to preview. So, a little bit of a nice little show here going on, and we'll get started with it right away. So, we're going to start things off. We had New Japan Destruction in Ryogoku 2023 on Monday. Big deal for New Japan to actually go to Sumo Hall to do this show. The recent years, Destruction's historically, Destruction's just been in sort of middle tier venues, nothing as big as Sumo Hall. But I thought this show was pretty good. I didn't think it was anything crazy though. We won't go every match in depth. On the undercard, the big deal was, as we talked about, we thought it might have been a possibility. Yuya Uemura is back in Japan, and he has joined Just Five Guys. He was the third guy in their match against House of Torture, and they got the win in that match. Are you? How'd you feel about Yuya?
Yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see how he kind of fits into the rankings in terms of how heavily he's going to be pushed there. Obviously, we've seen with the other three guys in his class how heavily they've been featured. I think it's a decent fit for him. He's obviously one of the two guys who was kind of people were mentioning maybe it could be him. Obviously, the other candidate there, Taiji Ishimori, rocks up later. But yeah, I think it's a decent fit. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on there. But I'm happy to see him back. He's obviously been in Impact for a very, very long time. So long that the other three have been crowned the Musketeers without him. So it'll be interesting to see if that kind of plays into it. Whether he'll when he eventually crosses paths with those three. But yeah, I'm happy to see him back. I mean, I'm not the biggest Impact watcher, so getting him back in New Japan means I'm going to see more of him. So we'll see how he's developing. And yeah,
it's been over 2 years since Yuya Uemura wrestled in Japan. It was all the way back in August 2021. His last match out was a singles match against Kazuchika Okada. So I think that tells you how big of a deal they felt he was. And now, he's all the way back. He looks just freaking like young Keiji Muto. It's kind of uncanny. But yeah, he's back in, and I'm excited. I love you. I love all the young guys. I think they're all pretty great. So just more fresh blood, fresh talent.
Mm-hmm.
Japan scene is good. I like that all of them have kind of found their own path. Shota's the only one who hasn't found like a real mentor, you could say. Maybe Yuji Nagata has, but or Yuji Nagata is his, but Narita obviously has Shibata and Suzuki. Let's see, Tsuji has Naito, right? And now Yuya Uemura is relying on Taichi and Sonata. So I'm interested to see if that changes things with Umino, whether he ends up joining a stable or whether he stays as Seikigune, as being kind of unique in that circumstance. But this was fun return for him. I mean, it's freaking House of Torture, so the match was like whatever. But yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. Nobody cares about the next couple matches. The Bullet Club War Dogs retained the junior heavyweight tag titles against the intergalactic jet setters Kevin Knight and Kushida. I thought it was a really solid little match here.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Another good showcase. I really like the team of Kevin Knight and Kushida, and I think Kevin Knight kind of showed out in this match, apart from one kind of mishap with a poison rana. But other than that, he had a good showing in this, and the Junior War Dogs as well. We talked about it last week when we were kind of previewing the card. It's a much better fit for Driller Maloney. He works quite well.
It's so crazy. Like he was nothing in that Best of the Super Juniors, and all of a sudden he just feels like a big deal, like a killer in this War Dog stable. I mean, good on New Japan for identifying that and making that change.
Yeah, absolutely. It's clear to see the kind of he's fitting much better, and it's benefits both guys as well, because Clark Connors, when he initially turned, I wasn't too high on his prospects as like a solo junior in terms of just being like the guy for Bullet Club. But as a pair with Driller Maloney, I think they found a good little spot there, and yeah, good little defense for them.
The best of 7 series between Strong Style and Blue Justice team ended in a draw as Shota, Nagata, and Master Wato got the victory over Strong Style, Suzuki, Narita, and Desperado. Another really solid match here. But yeah, we saw the best of 7 series go to the draw. No team got the advantage, and we already have the next never open weight 6-man challenger, so not like this led to anything. I guess it was just a fun thing to do. New Japan doesn't really do things just for the fun of it a lot of the time. They usually have intentionality to what they're doing, but I'm interested to see where this ends up going. Of course, Desperado and Master Wato teaming in the best of the Super Junior Tag League, I guess, is a bit of a development, but we'll see what more comes of this.
Yeah, I guess kind of the main points of this match. I mean, the match was solid, but what comes after is really the key thing. Like you mentioned, the Desperado and Wato team is very interesting. I've also got my eyes on Shota Umino and Ren Narita possibly being in that tag league. Obviously, they teamed up with Royal Quest, which we're going to get into a little bit later. So some interesting developments there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see as we kind of, we're getting close to the end of the year, which means Wrestle Kingdom's coming up. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with these never open weight 6-man titles, because you'd have to assume they're going to be defended at Wrestle Kingdom. Are Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii still going to have them at that point? Because you also have to assume that Okada may have a big singles match lined up, right? He's got a few, it could be whether it's a Danielson rematch or Kaito or one of the young guys. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, a solid end to the best of 7 series.
I wonder if it's possible that they just don't do a never 6-man title match at Wrestle Kingdom, and Okada just does whatever he was going to do regardless. I think that's a possibility that they could go with. We had the strong openweight tag titles defended, and a title change. GOD, but this time with Hikuleo and El Fantasma. They have like a goofy tag name, right? They beat the War Dogs, Coughlin and Gabe Kidd to win the titles. I thought it was okay. I don't really like the Hikuleo and Phantasmo team. They're not my favorite. I just think Hikuleo kind of sucks, and I'm not the biggest Phantasmo fan either. So I would prefer the War Dogs stay as champs, because I don't know. I mean, we did get a little bit of Gabe Kidd going after Ospreay, right, at the end of Royal Quest. So maybe there's a little bit of direction for him, but I don't know. It just feels like kind of like we were talking about on the junior side of things. These young guys, heels in Bullet Club, if they're not in a tag team, or if they don't have a title that they're going after, they feel pretty just sort of aimless and out there. So I'm not a huge fan of the title change, but maybe it means Gabe Kidd at the very least gets elevated a bit.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it last week when we were previewing the talked about the possibility of a title change here, and obviously, as you are as well, I'm not a huge fan of Hikuleo. I'm not. I don't mind ELP, from time to time, but I think when you put him with Hikuleo, kind of reduces my enjoyment of the work there. But as you said, possibly freeing up Gabe Kidd to go off and do something with Osprey. I mean, that's always going to be exciting because I think like a lot of people, super high on Gabe Kidd. I think he could be like future leader, the Bullet Club potential. A lot of people are ready for him to do it like right now. Me being one of them, to be honest.
I am too.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the events later on in the night and then following on Royal Quest lend credence to the idea that we might be getting that switch pretty soon.
Yeah, and that would be super exciting because I think he's shown a lot of promise since coming into New Japan proper. So yeah, not my favorite title change, but if it leads to big things for Gabe Kidd, then I'm willing to accept it. And it's the strong titles. It's not they're not the most important titles in all of New Japan. And it also could free them up for the actual tag league. Maybe they go after those IWGP titles and win those at some point.
We had what I thought was the best match on the show for the never openweight 6-man titles. Okada, Ishii, and Tanahashi defended against the Impact team of Josh Alexander and the Motor City Machine Guns. No, I'm sorry, MCMG. No, you're not that. You're very good. Yeah, I thought this was great. I love the interactions here. Like a unique matchup to Josh Alexander getting in there with guys like Ishii and Okada and Tanahashi. It's just not something we've seen all that often. And yeah, I really thought Alexander was like the story of this one, just getting in there, being super physical and really being in an environment where he can shine. Obviously, he's become very popular in Impact. He's pretty much their top star right now. But even so, I feel like he's just best suited for like strong style wrestling. And I think this really showed out here. I really love this match. I love that the New Japan team retained because I adore this team, but I would not have been disappointed at all with the title change here. So it made it nice and dramatic at the end too for me. Wasn't crazy long. I thought this could have gone longer. You probably I know why it was fourth from the top, because this is not as big of a deal compared to obviously the heavyweight title or the junior title or even the never openweight title. But you probably could have taken cut off 4 minutes from the Tama Tonga and David Finlay match and brought it here and maybe get a borderline classic out of it. But as it stood, I do think this was the best match on the show, and I want more Josh Alexander in New Japan. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's often the thing with when we get these Impact guys coming across. Obviously, we see it with Mike Bailey later in the show. We've seen it with guys like Leo Rush and stuff like that. As I said, I'm not a huge watcher of Impact, and I know sometimes people don't like it when guys want to see, I want this wrestler to move here because I only watch this or whatever. But I watch way more New Japan than I watch Impact, so I would like to see my favorite wrestlers wrestling in New Japan. I don't think that's too bad of a thing to want. So more Josh Alexander in New Japan, I think will go a long way, because I think he's got a lot of potential, and I do definitely think his kind of style is a really good fit for New Japan. And yeah, just another really great defense for the big all-star team. They've elevated these titles way more than they have in previous years. They feel like a big deal on all of these shows, to the point now where, as you say, they feel like they should get a bit more time, be a bit further up the card because of the names holding them and the guys they're facing as well. They're really big time matches. And yeah, just a really another solid defense. There's one amazing spot from this match with Ishii headbutts Alexander's headgear off, jumping headbutt.
It's awesome.
He's so. I mean, Ishii's the man, but
he's innovative. He's done a headbutt like that for a while, but he's really made it his signature spot. Like in all of his big matches now, it's sort of like like a jumping headbutt essentially, because he's so like short usually, or he's usually doing it like from a kneeling position or something. But it's pretty crazy how he's able to bust that out of there. So yeah, this was a success for sure. We had what I thought was a really surprising title change in the never openweight title match, with Tama Tonga winning the never title back from David Finlay after he held it for much of the year. This is a big, long brawl. I thought it was okay. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. I just am still not buying Finley and whatever he's trying to do right now. I think he's better, slightly better, I'd say, now than when he first. You know, I remember the New Japan Cup and he was winning matches, and it would just be no reaction to anything that he did. He's better now, but still, this match, this result makes me think that we're gonna get a match, maybe at Wrestle Kingdom, between, you know, him, maybe the War Dogs split off and it's him and I don't know, Ishimori, and maybe he's with House of Torture people or something. I don't know what it ends up being, but whatever ends up happening, it feels like we're gonna get Gabe Kidd and David Finley going at each other at some point for the Bullet Club leadership. So we'll see about that because otherwise, what's the point? Like Tama Tonga has not been a pushed guy this year. He and the never openweight title is arguably their number 2 title, probably after it's probably behind the US title at this point, but still, I mean, that's a big role for him for not even really having any sort of extended push this year. So I'm very interested in the booking. I don't have much to say about the match, but the booking is very intriguing to me.
Yeah, similar thoughts on the match. Like, you know, I don't think it was particularly bad. I've mentioned a ton of times. I enjoy both their work. You know, I don't think either of them are like top tier talents, but you know, they can have good matches. The problem is that it feels like we've seen this match a million times. I don't know, it's not exactly the case, but when it's dragged on for as long as it has, you know, it feels like these have been the only 2 guys in this division for a long time. So yeah, the title change is really interesting. I would love to see, you know, that them go down that route with maybe a Gabe Kidd who, you know, try and take that top spot, or maybe it's the, you know, we've talked about before the possibility of like the War Dogs as a collective being like just the leaders, you know, no real leader kind of in the group, even though Gabe Kidd would kind of be the de facto like mouthpiece for them, you'd have to assume. But yeah, Tama Tonga gets the belt back. Hopefully this is the end of this saga. And nothing too much to say about the match. Oh, he's mute. He's on mute. Oh no.
Sorry about that. Anyway, I have to say, if they end up punting on this, you know, addition of Finley as like the Bullet Club leader and top heel and all that, that's a good thing that they're doing that. Like, I think a sign of good bookers is being able to identify when something like fucked up, right? Like they didn't, like, this was not over. The people don't care about David Finley now. They don't buy him generally as a top heel or anything like that. And so if that's the case, you can't just, you know, stick to your guns and just be like, nope, it's gonna work. It's gonna work over time. There's no shame in being like, you know what, we screwed up here. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna go with somebody new, somebody like Gabe Kidd, and see what we can do from there. Put the title back on somebody like Tama, who, even though he's not the most featured guy, he's very popular and very over. And it just makes sense as booking. So I tend to think that we're gonna get Tama Tonga versus Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Kingdom for this title. And then we're gonna get some Bullet Club shenanigans maybe on New Year's Dash, or maybe even in the shows leading up to Wrestle Kingdom. So we'll see. Second from the top, we had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. It was supposed to be Lio Rush in there. He was, I think he fell ill, right? He got sick, right? Or something like that. And he was replaced by Yo. Hiromu Takahashi defended the title successfully against Yo and Mike Bailey in a 3-way match that I thought was the second best match on the show. Just a really fun 3-way spot fest. I enjoy all 3 wrestlers. I think Yo has had the best year of his career this year. I think Mike Bailey is incredible. I was, as soon as they announced Mike Bailey for Best of Super Juniors, I was all in because I knew he'd be great in New Japan. And Hiromu's Hiromu. He's having a great year too. So I really enjoyed this match a lot. I couldn't help but think that Lio Rush being in there would have made this even better. And I also, based on what Rush posted on Twitter, I don't know if you saw his tweet today, but it was pretty much, or maybe yesterday, but it was pretty much like, listen, I just had something that completely derailed my career happen to me, or something like that. And I wonder if he was supposed to win the title here leading into Wrestle Kingdom. But regardless, we got what we got. And then in the post match, we had Taiji Ishimori return and challenge Hiromu for the belt. So that will happen at Power Struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really enjoyed this match. Obviously, as you mentioned, it's kind of gutting to see Lio Rush miss out on this one, and it is interesting to think about whether he was set to win. Here, I know he mentioned recently that I believe someone asked him whether kind of where he's kind of resided at the moment, and I think he mentioned that he was kind of moving to Japan, with his family and stuff. So that kind of points towards him being kind of more with New Japan going forward. I don't know whether he's fully signed, but it appears for the at least the immediate future he's going to be sticking around. But yeah, so that was a shame to see. But regardless, I do think Yo filled in and needed more.
Yeah, he definitely. It's not like there was like this big, it wasn't like it was just some random guy. He more than did his part on short notice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he held his own absolutely, and obviously Mike Bailey. Whenever we get to see him in a New Japan ring, he's one of those guys. I think I mentioned it last week with Eddie Kingston. But when he's in a New Japan ring, it just feels right. He kind of fits the it feels like he belongs in there with the kind of stiff kicks and just the way he works. I feel like he's a good fit for New Japan. And obviously Hiromu, as you said, has been the absolute man in the junior division for the longest time now. He, every single title defense, when he's in there, it's going to be to a certain standard. So really good stuff. Probably, I would agree, my second favorite match on the night, on the card. But yeah, another good defense for Hiromu. Taiji Ishimori being back is a big pop from me because I'm a big Taiji Ishimori fan. Obviously, those two.
He and Hiromu have incredible. Yeah, which is exactly what you were going to say. It's they have some of the best junior matches in modern Japanese history. I mean, they're some of the best together.
Yeah, so obviously he's been out for a really long time. So I know with all the big changes in the Bullet Club and stuff, it'll be interesting to see where he kind of slots in. People were suspecting he may have been the one to join Just Five Guys. Obviously, didn't go that way. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he kind of fits in moving forward. But I'm really looking forward to him and Hiromu getting back in there again, as you said, with the chemistry between them. And yeah, really another solid defense for Hiromu.
In the main event, we had Sonata, as expected, successfully defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Evil in a lumberjack match that it was exactly what everybody thought it was going to be. There was nothing surprising, nothing like out of the box. Nobody ever thought that Evil was going to win. There was nothing like that. There were a couple moments that were like fan service stuff with like all the run-ins and all, everybody's coming out. And Red Shoes has a big moment where he flips off Evil. He gives him the double birds. He's like, screw you. And this is all fine and good. I think it's entertaining in a vacuum, but this is just like I've seen Red Shoes do that like 5 years ago. He did that against like the Firing Squad a long time ago. It's just more of the same. And I'm really ready I never want to see Evil in a pushed like featured match ever again. I'm just so over it. I respect the guy. I think House of Torture is better now than it was when it started. And I also think it's still the worst part of New Japan by far. So I'm ready to move on. Officially, the big news out of this is it officially Sonata versus Tetsuya Naito in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom 16, 17, something 17, like that. So yeah, 17. So yeah, that's destruction. Any thoughts on the main event?
Yeah, kind of repeating a lot of what you said. It was exactly as we thought it would be. You know what you're getting with these with these big Evil matches now. Very formulaic and stuff. I must say, like you said, I'm by no means a fan of this House of Torture thing. I do think is pretty much the worst thing in the whole company. I was sports entertained in parts during this. As you mentioned.
Yeah, kind of I was too. Like Evil, he's for his credit. I mean, and Show is part of this too. But Evil has become like the content is bad, but he's doing a really great job with it for the most part. Like he's so entertaining. He has flawless timing in everything that he does. It's just like I just don't give a shit at any point. You know what I mean? It's like I'm watching a Raw main event as opposed to a Sumo Hall main event. So yeah, continue.
Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, it's just like I was sports entertained and all that, but in terms of what I'm looking for when I go to watch New Japan, that's like it's not it by any stretch. So I know you you don't really watch WWE by like the pay-per-view shows. I will kind of keep up with the stuff that's going on down there. But that's not out of like a desire to see great wrestling. It's just an entertainment thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there are parts that are, they
And that's
call it
fine, and
entertainment
that's
for a reason.
absolutely fine. Right, like WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling are attempting to do very different things
Mm-hmm.
with their product. The difference is there's a reason I really like New Japan, and there's a reason I really am not interested in
Yeah.
WWE in any capacity, and it's because they New Japan generally doesn't have stuff like this. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I will say my because I suspect this is the last House of Torture Evil World Title match. I don't think it'll ever happen again. I think there is a real possibility that they could do something cool with Evil and do like a really goofy like babyface turn where his name
Mm-hmm.
is Evil, but he's like maybe he just like maybe he just starts getting booked against young lions in openers and he wins clean. And he's like, "Wait a minute. I I can I can win matches without doing any of that bullshit." Or maybe he gets pinned by like Oiwa or someone like that because he keeps trying to hit or cheat, or he loses by DQ or something. I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely think that there could be something good here because I think Evil, it's so crazy to say this. I think Evil is probably better as a wrestler right now than he's ever been. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's just the content and the booking of what he's asked to do is just nowhere near what I want from him. So I if I'm booking New Japan, I want to get something out of this House of Torture thing. I want to like I better get something out of this because otherwise it was for
Mm-hmm.
nothing.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. I think there's there's a bit of potential there. I've always been, with this House of Torture thing, I've never really kind of blamed, the talent involved. I assume they're being,
Hmm.
they're being told work a certain way. This is the way we want you to work as heels. Because I've seen Evil wrestling decent matches. I would agree that he's probably better now than he's ever been, which it is very weird to say when you consider like the kind of
Right.
his big match output isn't exactly the best, but I think he's got potential there. And obviously, Show before he was House of Torture, there were a lot of guys
Hmm.
talking about him as a potential big future player in the junior scene. Obviously, when he was with Yo, they were always a really good tag team together. So during the best of Super Juniors for me, I think they became like slightly endearing in their kind of
It was
comedic
crazy. Like Evil wrestled
shithousery.
more in the best. Yeah, Evil wrestled more in the best of the Super Juniors than like half the actual people in the tournament did.
Mhm.
He was all over that tournament. It was like it was fun.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah, I
there's
don't know.
potential there. If you can do some of those things, I like the idea of him. Just picking up wins against guys that he obviously should be beating, like you said. The young
Mhm.
lions, and think, oh, hang on, maybe I'm not too
Wait a
bad at this
minute.
wrestling thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like that idea.
All right, that was Ryogoku Destruction. I thought it was okay. Nothing
Mhm.
crazy though. It's definitely pre-Wrestle Kingdom season where people are
Oh yeah.
starting to lay off a little bit. Aside from a couple matches at New Japan Royal Quest that were the
Hmm.
opposite of laying off, and when you realize the four wrestlers that were involved, it tends to make
Oh
sense.
yeah.
I
No
don't think
surprise.
any of these four have an off switch on their wrestling capabilities. So not much to say about the undercard on this one. This was New Japan
Hmm.
Royal Quest at the Copper Box. Yeah, like I said, not much to say about the undercard. We did get Narita and Shota teaming up. That was kind of interesting. Got a fun team with Oku, Tanahashi, and Eddie Kingston. Right, couple little things, and then a good little showcase for Leon Slater and Cameron Kai, who I had never
Hmm.
seen before, challenging for the junior titles. Suji versus Luke Jacobs is a little bit disappointing for me. I think they have a better match in them in the future. But this show was all about the final two matches on the show. We'll start with Shingo Takagi defeating Tomohiro Ishii. These two have had classics before. This was just another one in the series.
Yeah, this this is immense. I mean, these two are probably two of the most consistent guys in the
Mhm.
entirety of wrestling. You can put them in there with anyone, and I'd have faith that they'd bring something out of them. So you put them in the ring with each other, and I mean they're always going to deliver. What I'm about to say about this match may sound like criticism, but then I'll follow it up. It's very formulaic, but the formula is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
So, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like it's exactly how you would have imagined this match to go, but that is by no means a knock on the match because of the way these two work. As I said, they're so consistent. They always bring something out of each other, and anyone they're in the ring with. just super hard hitting. The lariat, from Shingo, and the responses from Ishii, just super intense. The crowd were really into it as well. The crowd throughout the show kind of, the retro feed was a bit, washy. I know a few people who were there, and it sounded like it was a great atmosphere, but didn't always come across super strong. But for this one, you could definitely tell they were really into it, and I can see why, because this was another classic from these two. Shingo gets the big win, obviously as expected, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Shingo. I mean, we got he was in there with Tama, right, at some point, I believe. He was looked like they were setting up a big never open weight title match. I mean, he's felt like it for a while now, and it was really obvious during the G1 as well. One of the bigger names on the card that hasn't really had too much to do. Kind of. It's been a bit of a worry for me heading into Wrestle Kingdom. I wanted to see him start picking up, a bit of momentum, a bit of just something for him to sink his teeth into. So seeing this big match with Ishii and then the kind of follow up is very exciting. But just a tremendous match between these two.
In the main event, we had Will Ospreay successfully defending the IWGP US/UK Heavyweight Championship against Zack Sabre Jr. You could pretty much copy and paste what I said about the semi-main here. These two have had classics before. This was just another one in the series. I'd probably put it as their second best match together ever, which is saying something, because they've had many great matches, only behind the February 2021, the one right before the pandemic hit, where the atmosphere is just insane. It was like prime heel Ospreay and Sabre's the babyface. This one, the roles are reversed a little bit. Ospreay's the super babyface. Zack is just a killer, right? I love that Zack appears to have really taken Danielson as his big influence this year, and he's really added a lot of elements to his game that just make him a lot more ruthless, as opposed to just being the world of sport catch wrestling, tie a guy in a knot, slap on a hold type guy. And I just thought this match was awesome. I just thought it was great. So violent, so physical, back and forth, headbutts, even, stuff like that. Sabre, people forget that Sabre's not afraid to throw a headbutt once in a while. A superplex armbar just for fun. Yeah, this match was unbelievable. One of the best British matches of all time.
Absolutely. I mean, we kind of we talk all the time about how Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world right now. But every time I see Zack Sabre Jr., especially this year, he climbs up that ranking. He's getting up there pretty quickly. I mean, we only just came away from that Dinosaur match, and now he's come out there with another classic. So he continues to get better. I mean, he's in a league of his own in his kind of style of wrestling, but he's adding more and more elements to his game, as you said. And he just keeps getting better and better. The technical wrestling and the transitions in this match, kind of obviously, and Zack Sabre Jr. is incredible at this, but Ospreay more than holds his own in that regard as well. As you mentioned, the big superplex armbar was incredible. And there's another incredible armbar transition as well from an Oz Cutter, I believe, which was and the crowd, as expected, with two UK guys, were super into this as well. It was a very interesting dynamic to see the babyface Ospreay with a more kind of heel working Zack Sabre Jr. Obviously, they're both kind of tweeners now in New Japan, but with the way these two work, the styles were kind of set up to go that way. But yeah, man, I mean, Ospreay with another incredible match this year. His case for rest of the year is kind of blows anyone else out the water that I can think of at this point.
It's one of the best years for a wrestler ever. It's one. I mean, I think people. My guess is when people get into wrestler of the year, talking when they get into year-end awards, they'll start realizing just how good his year has been. I mean, Ospreay has had. I think he's been the wrestler of the year probably 3 or 4 times already in his career, in my opinion. And yet, you could make the argument, and probably should make the argument, this is the best year he's ever had. Between the Sabre match, Tsuji match, Marufuji, obviously the Omega series, Shingo, right? The G1, Naito, Finlay, Phantasmo, Okada, right? All this, just like
he got
all
a match
over, right?
In 2023.
I know. By the way, every match I've talked about here was in the last 2 months. So, or 3 months, I should say. So I mean, yeah, Tanahashi match. Mark Davis, remember Mark Davis in the New Japan Cup? Like that one was excellent. Luke Jacobs, the Tristan Archer match. You remember that one that got rated by Dave randomly for some reason? Yeah. I mean, he's just out of this world. He's one of the best wrestlers we've ever seen. He is my unquestioned pick for best in the world. And it used to be kind of like neck and neck between him and Kento, but right now it's got to be Will. It's just got to be Will. So what a year it's been. And it's not over. It's going to continue because he is still the U.S. champion. So, yeah. Any other thoughts on Royal Quest? Ready to move on to a little bit of World Wondering Stardom? What do you think?
No, my only kind of closing thought on the kind of Zack Sabre Jr. Ospreay thing was, as we talked about Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr. now obviously he's got that TV title, so obviously it'll be interesting to see where he heads into as we get closer to Wrestle Kingdom. As he has more and more of these big time matches, I'm so ready for him to be like a consistent player in the kind of like IWGP World Title scene. He's a faction leader now. I think he's ready, and he's won the New Japan Cup twice, right? So they've showed signs of being ready to push him, but they've never fully pulled the trigger. But I'm ready, man. And obviously with Ospreay, his contract situation is a little bit up in the air as we get closer to the end of the year. I think New Japan are going to get fully behind Zack Sabre Jr. I think that's the right move to make.
I really enjoyed obviously those last two matches. Just incredible environment. So let's talk very briefly about the Super Junior Tag League before we move on to Stardom. We got I always like tournaments. I try to watch pretty much every New Japan tournament match I can. The teams are Robbie Eagles and Kosei Fujita, TJP and Francesco Akira, Kevin Knight and Kushida, Doki and Taka Michinoku, Yusuke Taguchi and the DKC, Desperado and Wato, Yo and Musashi of Michinoku Pro replacing Leo Rush. That's kind of a deep cut. Clark Connors and Drula Mahoney, the current champions. Bushi and Titan and Sho and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. So out of that list, I tend to think, conventionally booking, I think Akira and TJP are probably the favorites. I think there's a low-key shot that Desperado and Otto will win this thing too, and I think that could be really interesting come Wrestle Kingdom season. And I think it might play into this story that they did with their two little like sort of half factions. It's weird because they're not even like fully established factions or anything, but I'm kind of interested in that. I think the lineup's okay. It's nothing crazy, but I think we'll get a couple good Korakuen main events. I know next week we have a couple Korakuen main events. The first one is War Dogs against Akira and TJP, and the following night it is Wato and Desperado against Titan and Bushi. So should be lots of like lucha libre stuff in that main event. So should be some good matches, but maybe nothing crazy on most nights, but we'll see.
Yeah, it should be good. I'm happy to see Eagles and Vegeta back in there. Obviously, Kosei Vegeta's big thing has been like he doesn't believe he needs an excursion, right? He's promoted himself out of Young Lion status, so I mean he was never going to be away for too long. So it's nice to see him and Eagles back for this. I mean, I think he's got a lot of potential. Obviously, we've seen with the four young guys who've come back at the moment, and obviously as well with the War Dogs who've kind of been integrated. There's a bit of a youth movement going on in New Japan, seeing more and more guys kind of being elevated. Kevin Knight as well is another one who's looking really promising. I think Vegeta's another guy who's got big potential. So I'm looking for some big, big showcase matches there for him. I think he could be a standout. But I'll probably say that Cash 22 are the favorites for this one. But I do like the odd couple pairing of Wato and Desperado. It's a very interesting combination.
All right, let's move on to Stardom. We've had a couple pay-per-views in the last week, which is so crazy. We had, let's see, on Monday, we had Stardom Nagoya Golden Fight in Aichi. I love the names on these. It's like Kinshachi Miracle. That's so beautiful. This was a good show. I like this show a lot. I thought it had an awesome match on it and a lot of really good matches too. In the opener, we did get that title change. Finally, Mei Seira is the high speed champion, dethroning Saki Kashima. Sorry, Jamie, for your loss, but yes, it is Mei Seira's time.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, I think I mentioned it last week. I'm a huge Saki Kashima fan, but she's kind of been a bit of a placeholder champion whilst we build up Mei
Mhm.
Seira, and the dynamics being fun. It's been good seeing Saki kind of maneuver away around this match and pick fights with the likes of Momo Kogo and people like that who she thinks she can get one over on, but. And right until the end, I wasn't sure if she'd pull one last trick to kind of get out of it. I mean, they kind of played up to it at the start of the match, and then once it got kind of more actual high speed style, that's where Mei Seira completely took over. But definitely the right move. She's been a real highlight since coming in, and we'll get into another match she has on the following pay per view. But she keeps delivering in these big matches. So yeah, I'm more than happy to see this. I think she'll have a real good reign.
Saori Ano defeated Azumi in a singles match. This was supposed to be a goddess match, but both of them have injured tag partners, so we did get the singles match instead. And I thought this was pretty solid. It was only like 8 minutes, but it was just like another fight. It was like a coda for the 5-star GP, just another quick, hard hitting, good, well wrestled match between two great wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another kind of high speed style match. Obviously, when Azumi's in there, and she's kind of the queen of these sub 10-minute matches on these big pay per view shows. She always delivers. And Soriano as well. Like I said, with Mei Seira, since coming in to Stardom, she's been a real great addition. I mean, they've had a few as well. Obviously, Suzu Suzuki as well, winning the 5-star. There's been a few really nice additions to Stardom this year. It's been nice to see Soriano sticking around. So yeah, another good match. Obviously, she gets a win back from the 5-star GP. They kind of advertised this as a bit of a 5-star rematch when the kind of the tag match fell apart. But yeah, really solid stuff. Again, nice transitions between the two. There's some real nice fast-paced sequences. But yeah, come away really looking forward to the eventual tag team match. Whether Soriano and Natsupoi will still have the tag titles when we get that, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the tag league's now underway, so by the time that's poised back, I'm not too sure whether we'll have new challengers who are going to take those belts away, but I think we'll get that match eventually regardless. All parties sound like they're interested in delivering it, so yeah, one to look forward to.
We had a UWF rules match. We had Shuri defeating Mina Shirakawa by knockout. I'm gonna go first on this one. I didn't like this. I thought this was pretty bad. I didn't enjoy it at all. I did not buy for 1 second Mina fucking Shirakawa in there, the like gravure model in there against Shuri, who's such a killer. It's just like in a pro wrestling setting, like an actual like capital P pro wrestling setting, I can always buy it, right? And they usually work around it well with Shuri because she's obviously so much more legit than anybody else on the roster. But I just thought the fucking grappling was so goofy. Mina's not even like, it's not even like, Mina's more well built than Shuri, but she's not taller or anything, so it's not like she could play to like a size advantage or anything like that. It just was like, wow, Mina Shirakawa is holding her own against Shuri for 11 minutes in a grappling match. I don't know. I didn't buy it at all. This was a misfire. I would have preferred just a straight singles match. I get why you don't do that. Maybe you want to do the match, but you want to protect Mina, and this is your way out of it. But if that's the case, then probably don't do the match in the first place. So I don't know. This is not what I would have done. I'm not a UWF rules fan anyway. And when one of the wrestlers is so much more out of their depth, and again, it's not like Mina did bad or anything. It's not like she like looked out of her element or looked bad or anything. I just thought the booking of it, they set her up to fail against Shuri here. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much agree. I mean, as you said, I don't think any of the work was like particularly bad. It's just the kind of the dynamic of the match doesn't really make sense on paper if you know kind of anything about Shuri's background and stuff. It's not, you can suspend your disbelief with pro wrestling to an extent, but just the way these kind of things work, it's not exactly the match I'd have gone for. But the way it was solid in parts. I mean, a Shuri match can only be so bad. You know what I mean? It's not like it's going to be disastrous. Botches all over the place. But yeah, UWF rules aren't really my thing either. So not my favorite match. But I want to very quickly, whilst we're on the UWF thing, jump ahead to today's Stardom pay per view. Not a result or anything, but just kind of a match that we had set up because we're going to get another UWF rules match. Hooray!
Oh, we are.
So It was very interesting. So after Shuri's tag league match, I think we have a vignette on the Titantron, and someone it took a very, very long time for anyone to identify who this woman was. Challenges Shuri to a UWF rules match. She looks like a bit of a shoot style wrestler. It takes a very, very long time for someone to point out that this is Alice Inc. of I believe she wrestles in WXW from time to time.
Alice Inc.
She's one of those people who the English Stardom account has been following for a couple of weeks. So it's someone who I've been, you got to keep your eye on these things. You know what I mean? The English Stardom account will follow incoming, gadgets, and you got to keep your eye on these things. But it took a very long time for anyone on my timeline to kind of work out who this was. But so another UWF rules match coming up, which is not my favorite thing. But we'll see how Alice Inc. holds up in this one.
I have never heard of this person in my life. I'm like going through WXW's like roster, and I'm trying to see. Yeah,
she's been WXW Women's Champion apparently, according to Cage Match.
WXW. Oh, Alice Inc. Also known as Esk Katana.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, the Stardom referred to her as like Scandinavian Hurricane or something like that. So
Scandinavian she's Swedish. Okay. Yeah. She beat Pete Phoenix for the Body Slam title, and she hasn't wrestled in 2 months. What the hell? All right, weird. I don't know. Very odd. I'm puzzled by this. Like a TJPW style move. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Stardom. All right. Let's. What the hell else was on this show? We had Artists of Stardom title match. This was 5 minutes for some reason. DDM beat Micah, Megan Bayne, and Suzu Suzuki. It was weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it, because we kind of talked about how the booking in this was kind of odd, because it doesn't feel like Micah, Bayne, or Suzu should have lost in this match. But I guess it plays into a little bit of storytelling. But yeah, I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, this could have been a pretty good match with the names involved, but ultimately, this was an angle, right? This was a 5-minute match with the angle. I mean, from the offset, Micah and Suzu couldn't get along, and that played directly into the finish. And then we got the kind of the post match of Micah beating down Suzu and then storming off. Julia kind of a bit conflicted in the ring, because it seems like Suzu's kind of getting a bit closer to DDM. Micah, obviously coming away from that 5-star, isn't too happy with that. She's now linked up with Megan Bayne, so it'll be very interesting to see. We've talked about a ton the possible faction implications of all the Micah Suzu situation. Will Suzu join DDM? Will there be a new faction with Micah? It definitely seems like we're moving closer to whatever the eventual conclusion of that will be. And the kind of shows follow, and Micah's been back with DDM, so she's not like left. For sure at the moment, but it's still, one to keep an eye on. But yeah, definitely more of an angle in this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the potential of a Micah stable. I've been waiting for it for a while. I thought we were going to get something like it with, I thought we were going to get maybe an Utami and Micah stable when Queen's Quest was feuding with Wedotai, but obviously that didn't end up happening. DDM, all of a sudden, if Micah leaves, is really like barren. So Suzu joining DDM makes sense too. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where this is going to go. Such a fan of Micah, ready for her to get that push forward. And I love the bubbling resentment between the two who met in the finals of the 5-star. And now obviously Suzu has this big future ahead of her. She's got a world title match. She's already done something that Micah has yet to do in winning that tournament. And so yeah, I'm interested in this. I think you could do probably a big time special singles match at what is it, Dream Queendom in Sumo Hall in the close to New Year's Eve show. I think that would be a really important match on that show. Let's see. I thought was a great match, one of the best Mirai matches I've ever seen. Mirai beat Momo Watanabe. Kudos to Momo Watanabe and Mirai, of course. I didn't think there was any shot of a title change here, but they really made it dramatic. Really, just very intense throughout. Momo is just one of these people. She's just so quiet a lot of the time because she's not been a featured wrestler for kind of a while now. That when she's able to come out and remember that, this is Momo freaking Watanabe. She held this title for like over a year. And yeah, this was a fantastic match. Like I said, one of the best Mirai matches ever, in my opinion. And I put, no offense, Mirai, I put a lot of the credit towards Momo. But yeah, I thought this was really, really great.
Yeah, totally agree. By far my match of the night on this card. I'm a huge Momo Watanabe fan. I've kind of, and I like her in the weirdo type, but I would definitely like to see her pushed more. Obviously, she had that white belt reign, a couple of years ago, and then she's kind of been, amongst the mid-card. She's had a few chances here and there. She got to the 5-star final with Shuri back in 2021, I believe. But she's been kind of a bit of a tag team player and doing the artist of Stardom thing, and she pops up with these challenges every now and again. And she always reminds you exactly how good she is. That she's a top level wrestler when given the opportunity. And I think Mirai more than held her own in this one. I like the way they played it, targeting the arm of Mirai for a lot of this match. Obviously, Mirai's kind of a big devastating move as those lariats, right? She hits a mean lariat. So taking out that, but she kept powering through, and got the win. But yeah, super intense, super physical. I love Momo Watanabe's kicks. I think she's got some of the best,
she's
strikes
great,
in the game.
Yeah.
And it's just another great defense from Mirai, who continues to have as much as we may say that the kind of the challenges in this division, the kind of the people we'd rather see with the belt, she's she's living up to the to the push they're giving her in these big time title matches. So I've got no complaints so far. But yeah, as we said a ton of times, there's so many people in this kind of white belt range of wrestlers who we feel like could have this spot. It'll always be very interesting to see who pops up next for Mirai, because I feel like there's a lot of people who could be in with a shot of winning that belt. So yeah, well, a very, very, very good match.
We had Kairi, Mayu Iwatani, and Nanae Takahashi defeating the Stars team of Hazuki Koguma and Saya Ida. This was Kairi's last Stardom match, at least for now, maybe ever. We'll see how that ends up going. This was a long match. It went almost 25 minutes, and I thought it was pretty great for the most part. I didn't think it was like blow away awesome, but I just thought the work was really good. I was particularly impressed by Koguma. And this one, I've always been a Koguma fan. She's obviously had a super quiet year, wasn't even in the 5-star, right? But I thought she really showed out here. She showed some good fire, good energy. Ida is really consistent, even though you knew she was going to lose on this one, and Hazuki's great as always. So yeah, I enjoyed the match. Kairi does not put anyone over on the way out. That doesn't work for her brother, but she's going to WWE most likely. So yeah, I thought this was a fair send off for Kairi. It's difficult to not be a little bitter just as a Kairi fan and as a Stardom fan, wondering what could have been on this run where there's some nagging injuries. She was never a regular. She did all these like showcase matches to sort of heat her up, right? And then it never really cascaded anything. She was champion for a while and then lost it, and then it was that. So yeah, kind of an interesting run for Kairi. And it was weird because there was always that when she started, I thought her first few matches, maybe not even just her first few, her first like sizable handful, were like she was really great in all of them. So I'm still left wondering what could have been in this run, but regardless, a good send-off match for her.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, I knew when this match card got announced that that drone wasn't going to put anyone over.
Right.
I saw the lineup, and I saw especially the including the people who were on our team as well. I couldn't really see Mayu or Nanae. Nanae doesn't lose a lot either, so I couldn't really see the other Stars team going over in this one. So no real surprise there. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy everyone's work. The people who are involved in this match. So this is always going to be good stuff. Fun vibes for this one, but the kind of takeaway is where do we stand on this Kairi run as we kind of move away with it? Is this going to be, a last Stardom match, full stop? Because obviously when she left WWE, before she made her Stardom return, it seemed like that could have been it for her career, right? She was talking about, kind of getting married and, staying at home and, just kind of, living a normal life for a little bit, but then she obviously made her return to the ring and now she's been lured back to, to WWE. So it'll be interesting to see whether this is kind of the final run for her. But yeah, it's a weird one to reflect on. As you said, the early matches were really, some of the best stuff in Stardom, throughout the whole year. But, there's been, as you said, injuries and kind of illnesses and stuff. And it's never really been exactly what it could have been. And you are just left with that kind of feeling of, a little bit disappointed, a little bit what if. But, we've had some good stuff with this Kairi run. And, I hope she does good stuff over there. But, yeah, I would have liked to have seen her put over, a name on the way out. But it is what it is.
In the main event, we had Tam Nakano defending the World Championship, the red belt, against Natsuko Tora. I thought this was good. I thought this was exactly what you wanted from this match. You knew there was never going to be a title change here, but I thought what you do in this situation is you do something a little bit different. You make things interesting, and I thought Tora did a good job here of doing that. Tam, of course, did as well with a lot of brawling on the outside. Tam took some pretty crazy bumps here and there, really put her body on the line for this one. And I thought it was a really solid main event. I thought it was a good title defense for Tam, who quietly, I think, is, even though she was double champion at one point, it still feels like she's been relatively under the radar, all things considered, with all the differing storylines going on. There was that, obviously, the QQ story going on all summer. There's been Mercedes in and out. There's been, there was the 5-star GP. There's Mina's story as well. There's the ascent of Mirai. So even with all that considered, I think there's been moments throughout the year where Tam hasn't been one of the 2 or 3 most important parts of the company. And yet she comes out, continues to be excellent, shows why she's the world champion. And we have Suzu on the horizon.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty solid match. I mean, coming out of the 5-star, I mentioned last week that I think Natsuko Tora came away from that 5-star looking, a lot better than she did going in. She had a real, a lot of good showcase matches. So she was built up nicely for this one, and I think she delivered. It wasn't a blow-away match by any means, not to the level of the white belt match that we talked about earlier. But very, very solid stuff. I think she looks super solid. As you mentioned, kind of a bit of a brawl in places, which I think kind of suits Tora's style. Brings her a bit more to kind of, her style of wrestling. And obviously Tam as well with the sell, and she's always going to work well in that kind of environment. She's she brings the emotion out in these matches, and she sells better than she's got some real good selling. So those two in the ring, I think, did a good job. Not my favorite red belt match in of the year or anything, but very, very solid stuff. It'd be interesting to see where Tora goes from this. I've mentioned that she could kind of be a favor for the tag league with Momo Watanabe. So obviously the two losers on this card, I think they might have something coming out of this. And obviously we know what's next for Tam with the Suzu match. It'll be very interesting to see whether they decide to pull the trigger on Suzu. I kind of can't see it just with the way they've positioned the title match. But I'll never I never expected the Tam title change in the first place. So Stardom has potential to do something exciting with the Suzu match. So we'll see how it goes.
Let's move on to today's show. We're not going to do a full review. We'll just kind of go over the results here, and maybe we'll just think about who we think is going to win this tournament, right? Notable match was Julia versus Michiko, former Andras Miyagi in Stardom. She's now with GLEAT, obviously, in their women's division. I didn't watch it. I did not watch this show. But yeah, we had... and you can jump in if you have anything, but I think it's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
That Julia match was just... It was like an elongated squash, to be honest.
Yeah,
she beat the shit out of her, I don't really know what they were going for, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
And then when we got to the tag league, Mei Sara and Suzu Suzuki went to a draw with Risa Sera and Hiragi Kurumi. So obviously Suzu and Sara have that history between them. Club Venus beat Hanako and Saya Ida. What a goofy team that is. Micah and Megan Bain beat Ami Saray and Lady C. Momo and Natsukura, like we were talking about, beat Shiori and Saki Kashima. Then in the main event, Hazuki and Kogama beat Mayu Iwatani and Hanan. I tend to think that you might be right when it comes to Momo and Tora winning this tag league. I think that's a real possibility here.
Yeah, I mean, as evident by the recent pay-per-views and the absentees, that the tag league's been a bit decimated by these injuries, right? We don't have the Tam and Natsboy teams, and we don't have Aphrodite in here and stuff like that. So I think their case has kind of grown because of that. Some of the big players have been taken out, and they were one of more, so some of the big names in there aren't like consistent tag teams per se, like say a Micah and a Megan Bain. I think they're in with a shot of this, but also you don't know how long Megan Bain's kind of Stardom run is going to go. As the case when they bring in these outside names, is she going to stick around long enough for it to be worthwhile for Stardom to give her the tag league win? I'm not too sure. So yeah, I think Tora and Momo Watanabe make a good case. I'd never count out FWC because they're obviously a very consistent tag team, one of my favorite tag teams in all of wrestling. And when they're rolling, they had a great showing on this show. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with Tora and Momo for now, and I think that's what I'd definitely like to see as well, just because the two wrestlers who I want to see Stardom kind of do a bit more with.
Let's move on to Pro Wrestling Noah. We have Katsuhiko Nakajima's last Noah match this week, which is a crazy sentence to say. In the main event of Korakuen Hall, he's going to be teaming with his Axis compatriot Go Shiozaki alongside Masaki Miya. They're going to take on Masaki Mochizuki, Manabu Soya, and Daiki Inaba in the main event of Korakuen. It's just weird. It's really strange, and it's compounded by the fact that Nakajima has such a unique aura around him, and it's really unpredictable, especially considering we have no idea what's next for him. We have no idea what's next for him. It genuinely feels like he has the wrestling world, like wherever he wants to go, he can go. So, man, it's just I will be watching this the day of. I haven't been this not for the in-ring action. It's just so intriguing as a matchup that I really can't wait for it. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, we talked about it kind of last week when we were catching up with the news that broke. I mean, it's gutting for Noah. He's one of the big names there, and their business isn't exactly booming as it is right now. So to have a guy like Nakajima leave, he's one of the very best wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. I think he kind of always delivers in the big matches. He's obviously been world champion there, and he's just super consistent and a big name. He's had Noah's best match of the year with Kento Miyahara, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, he linked back up with Go Shiozaki this year, which is one of the big intriguing stories in Noah all year. Axis getting back together, and now it's kind of run's going to come to a bit of a premature end. We're not going to see, kind of where those two could have gone as a team, kind of moving forward. But yeah, I mean, the match is definitely going to have a lot of eyes on it because there's been links with them all across the wrestling world, from the kind of obvious picks of the New Japans and the All Japans, right, to kind of across to AEW and even WWE, getting mentions here and there, which is a crazy thought. I mean, I can't imagine what that even looks like, but yeah, Nakajima, his run coming to an end in Noah. I believe you mentioned it last week when we touched on this. He's for the amount of time he's been in Noah, he's still very, very young, like deceptively young for how young he's been going. So, at the level he's working and the kind of the years he's got ahead of him, he's going to be some get for wherever he ends up landing.
We also have a couple notable things on this show. In the semi-main, it's a preview of the two top title matches at their next big show. Jake Lee and Jack Morris, the good-looking guys, against Keno, who will be challenging Jake Lee, and Ihode Dr. Wagner Jr., who will be defending against Jack Morris. So big all-star tag match. Got to think it's probably going to be something like Morris pinning Wagner in this one to continue setting up those title matches.
Yeah, I think Jake Lee's time's running out, right? Surely.
Yeah, I think it's Keno's time.
Yeah, well, it's Keno or bust at this point. We've done the the Go Shiozaki match, he seemed like the absolute, nailed on pick. From the moment he came back from injury, we were kind of saying, it's going to be Go. And now there isn't. I think if Keno doesn't win, I'd be really, really, really intrigued to see what the plan is. But I do think Keno will be beating him. But it should be a fun match.
The other notable thing on this show, the freak Yakuza member Kazunari Murakami is returning to Pro Wrestling Noah. He has not wrestled in a couple years at this point, but he's teaming with Takashi Sugiura and Naomichi Marufuji against Hideki Suzuki, Saxon Huxley, and Shuhei Taniguchi. This guy's really weird. He wears a full suit to the ring. I don't know if you've ever seen this guy, Jamie. He wears a full suit to the ring and like MMA gloves, and he just shoots on people. It's really weird. He's really old. Yeah, he's really old. But he was kind of cool. It was weird. I remember this. He did his last run. I don't think he ever won it. He challenged for the national title against Keno. And but they didn't show it on Wrestle Universe for whatever reason. They showed it on like Facebook Live. It was really weird. And I remember like watching it some morning, just like on my phone on Facebook Live. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what's happening on this show? So that was fun. But yeah, Murakami, he is quite the character. He does add something interesting to look for on Pro Wrestling Noah shows, which we don't get that often in recent memory. So, all right. I was going to talk about Wrestle Princess. I don't really want to at all. I didn't watch it. I'm sure Miyu Yamashita versus Mizuki was really good. I have no doubts that it was. I have no interest to see like anything else on this card. I frankly should have watched that main event because it's probably really good, and I do support Joshi, but yeah, it is what it is. However, I did watch some more little things, and the big one that I want to talk about that's kind of made some waves over the last week is Takuya Nomura versus Fuminori Abe from their essentially self-produced show that they did at Shinkiba. It was on Wrestle Universe, and Abe got the win. But when it came out, and I only watched it today, I only just watched it today. It came out, I was getting DMs from people, and they're like, "This is the match of the year." I was like, "Okay, this was not the match of the year." I've seen a million. Like, I don't know. It was really good. It was great. And I don't want to temper, talk down on it because it wasn't the match of the year. But like, it was so physical as expected. It had some great grappling as expected. Both of these two are really good grapplers. They had a little bit of comedy, as you would expect, right? These two have really good chemistry. They're like best friends. They love wrestling each other, obviously. And we got a bit of an upset with Abe getting the win. He's positioned as more of a junior in his wrestling, and Nomura is a heavyweight. So that was a big deal. But I don't know. I just don't know what set this match apart from like a lot of other matches that I've seen from both of these guys. Like, you can go back and watch Nomura in the Champion Carnival, or you can watch his strong heavyweight title run, and you can go back to Abe, watch him as junior champion in 0-1 and other places where he's been able to put on great matches, and of course their tag matches too. So I don't know. I thought it was great. I didn't think it was close to the match of the year. I didn't think it was like a top 40 match I've seen all year. I thought it was great though.
Yeah, I thought this match was terrific. I would kind of agree with you that I don't think it's at the match of the year level. But you look at the kind of matches that we've had in that match of the year bracket this year. Obviously, the two Osprey Omega matches, and obviously the Nakajima Kento match that we mentioned before would kind of be in around that top three for me. So I don't think it's kind of that level, but I do think it was a terrific match. Kind of, if you remove the expectations from the kind of the talk around the match, I think it was really, really strong match. I don't know whether it's out yet, so I may be speaking too soon, but I know that Ash of Wrestle Pures has a feature coming out about this match pretty soon, so I want to plug that before it may be out now. It may be out pretty soon in the next couple hours or two. But he's a huge Astronauts fan, I've seen a lot of their matches, but I know he kind of watches pretty much anything that those two do, and he's super high on it. So he's one of the guys who absolutely love this match. So if you want kind of a better insight into maybe the history of these two work and kind of how we got to this match, and just a kind of really great review of these matches. Then I'd go and check that out whenever that's out. It may be out now, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I thought it was really good, super physical. Obviously, these two have got good chemistry because they team together all the time. As kind of Ash points out in his feature, we see a lot of these matches between tag team partners, and sometimes there's different takes on it. We see in the likes of like an MJF and Adam Cole, kind of their take on it. The big TJPW, Yuka and Mizuki match, which obviously wasn't kind of the match we were hoping from that kind of style. This was kind of my favorite type of tag teams taking on each other, singles competition. Kind of both want to prove they're the better man in the tag team, and they just beat the shit out of each other because of it. But yeah, really, really, really great match, but not the absolute match of the year contender that people kind of made it out to be.
I want to move to a rare GLEAT mention on this show because they had a notable thing happen on their show this past week at Korakuen Hall. It was the return of Takuma Fujiwara and SB Kento. They're now just Takuma and SBK, and they wrestled El Lindaman and Hayata Tamura in a tag match in the semi-main event of their Korakuen show. And I thought this match was awesome. I thought they were so good in this match. And so, I mean, SBK he's not as spectacular, but he's like one of the things about like if you watch Lindaman, for example, is that everything is just perfect when he does it. It's just perfectly crisp. He just knows how to wrestle. Like Kento has like 5 fewer years of experience than Lindaman, and he's just as good as him in their wrestling. It's really pretty remarkable to watch him come out there and do that. And then Takuma is like a perfect foil for him because Takuma is this incredible athlete who just flies around the ring, does all these dives, everything like that. Lindaman and Kento are like carbon copies of each other. So they had a great dynamic going forth. And then you have Hayata Tamura in there. He's like a big bruising heavyweight, super well built. And he would just kill Takuma in particular with these lariats where they, it's not like he does a backflip bump. It's not like he falls straight back. He like does like a corkscrew bump. It's like just doing crazy stuff. It was really a great match and a great showcase for these two. They are just as good as advertised. I mean, I watched them as young boys in Dragon Gate. I watched Kento develop into tapping out Dragon Kid to disband his unit, losing his hair in a match against Dragon Kid. And I have no idea what happened between them and Dragon Gate, but whatever happened, they're back now. Their first match in Japan in over a year, and it was really excellent. So whatever's next for them, probably the G Infinity. They did lose the match, which is notable, but whatever's next for them, maybe the G Infinity Championships. I mean, they're going to be really successful. I'm really hoping they show up in All Japan at some point because All Japan quietly has a really solid little junior division that's great on quality, but not so great on numbers. And adding 2 more guys like that in there, because they've worked with GLEAT a lot this year, could be really good. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch the match, but obviously when those 2 guys left Dragon Gate, it's really gut and blow for those because obviously you talked about the quality both bring. Takuma Fujiwara was one of the 5 nominated, rookies of the year for Wrestle Purist last year. It's kind of and obviously Dragon Gate's not kind of a promotion that a lot of people watch, and a lot of these times these awards are kind of a bit of a popularity contest. So for him to make the top 5, kind of shows how promising he is in this scene. But yeah, I definitely agree that GLEAT occasionally has some good matches that I kind of check into, but they're by no means a promotion that I'm always watching every show for. And we've talked about it. At times they feel like they're moments away from going out of business at times, and then they kind of keep going. They have a big show, so I don't know how long term their time in GLEAT's going to be, but hopefully they can rock up in All Japan or somewhere a bit more consistent where they've got a big a better depth of competition there. But I think they'd add a lot to All Japan, definitely.
Couple super chats here. We got one from Matt B 516. Am I crazy for being kind of down on Stardom this year? 5-star didn't blow me away. I think I miss a great worker like Maya Utami or Shuri being champ. Yeah, I think you might be crazy, bro. I think Stardom's been awesome for the most part this year. I think Tam's an awesome champion. I think Julia was an awesome champion. And I think the 5-star was like the best Joshi round robin tournament like ever. So I don't know. I think Stardom's been great. They have had some injury struggles, but I feel like they have injury struggles like every year. And we've also had like the emergence of like Soriano, Suzu, May Sarah, people like that coming in too. Good storytelling too. The Queen's Quest is like the third time I mentioned this on the show, but the Queen's Quest storyline now with Micah as well. I think Stardom's had a great year. I think Rossi's borderline Booker of the Year for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely agree. The only kind of earlier on in the year, I would have maybe agreed slightly more at this point because I think they had a slow start with the
Triangle Derby was a little bit, but yeah.
I like my round robin tournaments in wrestling, but sometimes it can be a little bit too much. And I don't think the Triangle Derby kind of was worthwhile in the amount of time they kind of spent on it.
The thing that I think people might forget about the Triangle Derby is that it was clap crowds during that. They didn't get cheering back until after that tournament. So yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, obviously they're coming in, and took a while for them to get back to their peak kind of pay-per-view standard, but I think they've absolutely found that again. Obviously, like you said, with the 5-star, I would tend to agree this was the best Joshi round robin tournament maybe ever. I think it kind of blows what the G1 was this year in terms of their format and the way they kind of put that together. And Julia, as you said, Julia and Tam have been strong champions. We've had Mina's short-lived title reign kind of delivered in terms of the match she had there, and obviously Mariah's now doing the same thing. She's delivering in that spot, and we've had the big storylines of the Queen's Quest thing, the Suzu and Micah thing kind of developing. So that there's a lot of good things going on in Stardom, but I mean they've had some really good years in recent memory. So for as good as maybe this year's been, I would maybe understand if you preferred a 2021 or a 2022 of Stardom, because since kind of 2019, 2020, every single year's felt like they've been within a shout for Booker of the Year and stuff like that. So I tend to disagree, but I also understand to a point.
One more, we got one from Jordan Henderson, $10. Evening, lads. I've just been getting into wrestling myself. Have you heard of this upcoming event called Crown Jewel? Should be one of the best shows of the year. I don't know about that, Jordan. What are we going to get on that show? Is Roman going to be on that show?
Possibly. I mean, according to Notorious Scoops the Boozer, Cristiano Ronaldo isn't going to be on this show. There's reports he could be appearing, but so Jordan, I know you're in Saudi Arabia. There may be an opening. WWE looking for a big football superstar to appear at Crown Jewel. Champions League winner, Premier League winner. I'm sure you could, still in England, representing England in the national team, even though you're playing in that retirement league for the money. But maybe you could pop in there and make an appearance.
All right, thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate it. I assume you can afford it with all that blood money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Jamie. Anything more you want to talk about, or are you ready to wrap this thing up?
I think that kind of does it for the kind of the pro recaps. We had the KSI Tommy Fury event.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, here, give us a bit of a live recap. By the way, Jordan Henderson, he assures us he has not compromised his morals. No, sir. So anyway, yes, Jamie, you were at the KSI fight. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I did that. We had Royal Quest on the same night, but I decided to go for KSI and Tommy Fury. On the card was fun stuff. You had the tag team boxing fight. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those play out.
That's crazy. That's
so
crazy.
Because I'm a big fan of this crossover boxing thing. But when they announced the first tag team boxing fight, even I was like, well, nah, I'm not sure about this one. They may have gone a step too far. But in practice, it's actually very, very exciting, because at any one time you have 4 different dynamics playing out in the ring and stuff like that. We had some big upsets on the card. Obviously, the main 2 fights we get into. Obviously, we had Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul. Kind of a wrestling link there. Is WWE superstar. This fight, right until I didn't believe that this fight was going to happen until the bell rang, and even then I was kind of questioning. Dylan Dennis is going to have something up his sleeve. He's a notorious piece of shit, and he's going to weasel his way out some way. But no, They boxed for 6 rounds. Well, Logan boxed for 6 rounds, and Dylan Dennis kind of did this. He had his guard up. He didn't throw, and we get to the 6th round, and Dylan Dennis decided he's gonna, shoot a takedown.
I'm gonna shoot on this guy.
Yeah, and Logan, I know he's got a legit wrestling background in kind of his college days. He stuffs the takedown, and coming off the guillotine, he kind of lands a punch whilst Dylan Dennis is down. This leads to it all breaking down, and the security getting in the ring. Dylan's throwing punches, so Logan wins his first ever boxing match via disqualification. Obviously, he's had boxing match before, but he's never had a win, so he gets his first win via DQ. And after the match, in a very Inokiism feeling moment, he decides to use this platform to call out Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship, which I respect it. That match should be good, actually, between those two. But then we get to the main event. It's KSI.
Really quickly, Fury. I'm curious because I'm not as in tune with MMA and just fighting as you are. But like, who the fuck is Dylan Dennis? Like, I don't know who this guy is.
So Dylan Dennis he's an MMA fighter. He's like an elite level jiu-jitsu guy, right? Striking is not his forte, right? Okay. So he kind of he's not like one of these.
So he's in a boxing match.
He's in a boxing match, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy, right? Obviously, Logan Paul is a YouTuber. At the end of the day, he's not a boxer technically either. So I guess they're on level playing field in that sense.
I think, but we've learned that the Paul brothers are actually like kind of legit.
They have the resources to invest into like full time elite level training, right? Which is kind of the thing with the top level guys in this scene. He's also Conor McGregor's friend, which is how he's like famous. He's
okay.
He's
see, I knew he was in the like Khabib brawl. I knew he was a part of that. Yeah. But that was like the only thing I knew him from.
Yeah, he's the guy that Khabib like leapt into the crowd for. He's a notorious like dickhead, riling people up kind of thing. And that kind of everything from the build up of this fight, with all the kind of Twitter stuff. But then we get to the main event, and it's KSI and Tommy Fury. A bit of a split crowd. The kind of KSI fights that I've seen. KSI's always been the more over guy in the building. But we're in Manchester, I believe it's either Tommy Fury's hometown or he's like a Manchester United fan or something. He's very popular in Manchester. I don't exactly know if he's from Manchester, but he's got a big support in there. So it's a bit of a 50-50 crowd. And, kind of going into it, obviously I'm backing KSI, but on paper, Tommy Fury should win the fight. He's a professional boxer. He's boxed all his life, and we get into it. And 6 3-minute rounds. I think it's a pretty even contest. KSI lands a big overhand right early in the first round, rocks him a little bit. As the fight kind of goes on, it gets a little bit, they're both kind of clinging on to each other, and it's not the most technically, astonishing fight you see. It's no, it's no like Canelo Alvarez, with people like this, you get what you get with these kind of things. But we get to the decision, and I believe the KSI. I believe he should have taken this. Now, I think both won 3 rounds each, right? But KSI had Tommy Fury had a point deducted during the 2nd round, I believe, for hitting him in the back of the head, right? So the referee took a point. We get to the scorecards, and Tommy Fury wins. He takes the decision. It was initially a split decision, but they've now changed it to a unanimous decision because apparently one of the judges like fucked up the scorecard. So Tommy Fury wins. And I've seen very, very few people who believe that Tommy like genuinely won. I've seen a lot of robbery claims. I kind of tend to agree with the point taken away. But the main takeaway is that Tommy Fury could only defeat Jake Paul and KSI via decision, which isn't a good reflection on his professional career. Because it sounds like he wants to like wash his hands of this influencer thing and go forward with the professional thing. But I think he'd get beat by like anyone slightly better than YouTuber level.
Yeah. If you can't knock out YouTubers, admittedly talented YouTubers, but I mean, bro, you're not your brother, man. You're I don't know if this is gonna work out for you.
But yeah, it was a very interesting night, and the kind of reaction's been building up throughout the whole day. KSI apparently is going to appeal the decision. I don't think they're going to overturn it, just because it's such a close decision. It's like 1 point in it. But you know, a lot of big names have come out. Eddie Hearn, a big time boxing promoter. He thinks KSI won. So I mean, we'll see, but I doubt it. But yeah, KSI is his first defeat in the boxing ring.
Well, it sounds like you had a good time. It sounds like it was a good show overall, and I'm sure you don't. Even though you would have seen some great matches at Royal Quest, this is like a spectacle that is like one. You know, there's probably nothing quite like it. So you're in the building for stuff like this. Yeah, exactly. All right, I think it's that time. Beast of the week. Time for wrestling. Yeah, I'm gonna start with Murph. Murph's Beast of the Week. He texted me. It is one, and I think I know why. It is one Rocky Romero, ostensibly for fostering more of a relationship between AEW and CMLL, to the point that this Friday we're getting Mystico on AEW TV against Rocky Romero. So that's quite exciting. Romero's been incredible in CMLL, and he has been the catalyst behind so much of the forbidden door that I think he is a fitting Beast of the Week this week.
I love it. He's an incredible asset for New Japan in terms of their connections over in the West. So yeah, finally getting the CMLL AEW crossover, I think that's a worthy Beast of the Week pick.
Jamie, who you got?
My Beast of the Week. Struggling to come to a decision, but I think I may have to kind of step it back into the YouTube boxing realm for my Beast of the Week decision. I was there, so I have a better kind of insight into the big winners from that event. My Beast of the Week is not one of the guys from the main event or the co-main event. My Beast of the Week is Slim Albaha. All right,
Slim.
So he defeated Sol Papi in the third fight from the top, right, just before Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul. Sol Papi was he was one of the guys in the scene who was kind of touted as he's got skills that could go pro level, and Slim's been knocking people out, but he's not he's not as skilled technically as Sol Papi, but and he was getting beat in the first 2 rounds, but all of a sudden he turns us around. He lands a mean right hook on Sol Papi, and then lands another one, takes him down, and Slim becomes a champion in Misfits boxing against all odds, and he had a real standout performance in this one. He was the biggest winner of the night for me. So Slim Albaha, the Hitman, is my Beast of the Week.
The Hitman, okay.
We are a wrestling podcast.
That's right. I'm gonna go to a community in Japan called Kakuta that not a lot of things happen in. There are not many wrestling shows in Kakuta. According to Cage Match, there has been one wrestling show in Kakuta, Japan all year, and it was this week's All Japan Raising an Army Memorial Series from Kakuta City General Gymnasium. Drew 1,700 people, by the way. More than double what Stardom got from Ota Ward today, for example. And in the main event, we had a world title match between Kento Miyahara and Yuma Aoyagi, one of the best tag teams in the world. And they wrestled a 37-minute tag title match against the Voodoo Murders, the Saito brothers, Jun Saito and Rei Saito. The thing about this town, the reason they did this show, is it's the Saito brothers' hometown. And the Saito bros were massively over popular as baby faces. The reversal of their role. They're normally heels. They're the Voodoo Murders. But they just had a fantastic, epic tag team match here that ended up with the Saito bros winning the World Tag Team Championships for the first time in All Japan. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with the Saito bros as my beasts, my 2 beasts of the week. I thought about going just Yuma because the following, just a couple days later in Shinkiba, Kento Miyahara and Rising Hayato had a fantastic match against Atsuki Aoyagi and Yuma Aoyagi. 2 great tag matches in about 4 days is pretty impressive, but I thought the performance by the Saito bros was just a step ahead of everything else. So I'm going to go with the Voodoo Murders, the Saito brothers, as my Beast of the Week. We have to think of a collective one.
We do.
Who are we thinking?
We had obviously, I would say the best match of the weekend of the week would be the Zack Sabre Jr. Ospreay match. We can't pick Ospreay.
Let's go. I think you're right. I see where I'm picking up what you're putting down here. One grappler from the Isle of Sheppey, Zack Sabre Jr. will be our collective beast of the week this week. So, with that being said, we have what the fuck was his name? Slim Albaher,
Hitman.
Slim Albaher. We've got who the hell did you? Oh yeah, Rocky Romero, the Saito Bros, and Zack Sabre Jr. as our beasts of the week this week.
It's always an insane assortment of people. These beasts of the week, folks.
It's always the best stable of all time. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll be. Let's see. I may be back next week. I'm going to say tentatively yes, but I can't promise you anything. However, we will continue to be doing these shows. Hopefully in a week. I tell you what, if we know where Katsuhiko Nakajima is going in a week, I promise we'll do a show. But if not, we'll see. Regardless, thank you all so much for listening. As always, we really appreciate it. We enjoy doing these shows so much, and we will catch you next time. So for Jamie, for Murph, stay dumb.